What's going on, everybody? Gunnar here. Today's video is going to be a little different. It's just a discussion. I want to basically just share some of my thoughts and personal experiences with UV resins and UV lights, as well as highlight a few products, namely the light that I teased you guys with about a month ago, which I've got a lot of questions on, and then kind of some UV resins that I do carry for you guys to use and check out, because something that let's just jump into it. Let's jump in. Let's do it. So for dry flies and nymphs, obviously there's a few applications for UV resins, like little hot spots and wing cases and stuff like that. And I see people a lot of times use it as what's head cement. They use it as a head cement to cure their thread. I kind of think that's a little bit silly, just because it's a very expensive product for that. And you know, coming in with CA+, Zap-a-Gap, brushable, non-light cured acrylics, you know, they do a fantastic job. So use the most efficient and cost efficient product for the job, right? So for head cements, just use super glue. For hot spots and stuff on your nymphs and dry flies, whatever, I'm not going to cover that. I don't deal in that part of the industry anyway. So as far as a streamer application, basically I look at UV resins solely as the purpose to replace epoxy, 5-minute epoxy, 30-minute epoxy. And so the advantage of those UV resins, one is basically time. It cures very quickly versus waiting 5 minutes. And the second is you cure it when you want it to be cured, right? So you can get it on the head, move it around. When it's perfect, boom, you torch it, it sets up. So there's an advantage there. Now, understand that as my tying has progressed, basically I've used UV resins less and less and less. Now that is kind of for two reasons. My style has simply changed a little bit, so I just don't use them as much. The other thing is, when they came onto the market in our industry, basically it turned into like a high school girls yelling at each other popularity contest, and I don't like that crap. That's a bunch of BS. Obviously there's good brands, there's less quality brands. Support the good brands, talk about why they're good, but you don't need to poop on other people's parties here, in my opinion. So promote what you like, right? And whatever, I'm not going to get into it, but I did not appreciate the drama of the whole thing. So I kind of reverted back to 5-minute epoxy, kind of as a stick it to the man type thing, a little bit. And what I kind of learned, and what was fun for me, but I think in order to appreciate UV resins, you should really have to start with 5-minute epoxy, because that's, to me, where the application is. The application is to replace 5-minute epoxy. So if you don't have any experience with 5-minute epoxy, you really don't understand the advantage of UV resins. And so, you know, you're talking about spread flies, Popovics Spread Fleye, you're talking about Popovics surf candies for being truly, you know, epoxy style patterns. You're talking about epoxy domes on a fly head, like you'd see Brad Bowen finish a optic minnow, a hang time optic minnow. So you have that kind of like classic saltwater epoxy dome actually building up a head. And so those applications, 5-minute epoxy, understand, is still applicable. It still solves those problems. It's arguably more durable. The disadvantage is that it yellows in time with exposure to sunlight. So I think most people who are getting into UV resins, before you do, stop at Menards or your local hardware store or Walmart, or buy it online. I don't care, but buy 5-minute epoxy and learn how to use it, because it's very simple. 50-50 ratio. Mix it on a notepad so that you can just rip it off and throw it away. Apply it with a bodkin, get it in the vise, rotate it, learn how to use it, and then experiment with UV resins. Now, when you come in with UV resins, they got a pretty big price tag. It's an expensive product. The one reason why I really want to promote this light is because it's inexpensive, extremely powerful, works 100% of the time at 100% efficiency. That's why I think it's so cool. Because I have a lot of flashlights. I've tried a lot of flashlights. Basically, as soon as that battery power starts draining, which doesn't take that long, the power output starts to go down. The cure times get longer and longer and longer. And I really hate that. I want it to cure up quick. I want 100% power, 100% efficiency right there on the spot when I need it. That's why this is slick. Now, this product I don't sell. but I'll have a link in the description to Amazon where you can buy it. That's where I bought it. It costs like 13 bucks or something. Really cheap, light. And that's what I want to get into, is just the inexpensive way to try out UV resins and see if it's for you. $13 for light is not a very big investment. If you don't like it, give it to your buddy. Don't tie with UV. It's not a big deal. Which is going to lead me to my next part, which is SolarRes products. This is a new resin for me. I've never tried it before. I've tried it like in the past week and a half, but it's new to me. In the past, I've always promoted Deer Creek's, the UV Diamond Fine Flex is my favorite. Again, support the brands you like. Deer Creek makes a great resin. I've used it for like 4 years. It's great stuff. The thing that I'm really excited about with SolarRes is they make these super small 5-gram tubes. And they sell for, I don't even know the price tag, but it's under like, it's like $7. I should look it up. Let me look it up. So SolarRes in the 5-gram tubes is like $5.50 to $6. How cool is that you can try these little sample tubes? And of course they have them in the thick and the thin and the flex. They got all the different styles in this little sample tube. So that you can try for literally under 20 bucks, basically a full UV resin kit, and see if it fits your tying and see if it is actually beneficial to you to invest in and get a big bottle of resin and sit here and try to craft these basically epoxy style flies, being able to cure it when you want, right? So that's what I want to showcase, is just that I have these because I think it's the easiest way to get into it, having a background with 5-minute epoxy and understanding the application. Now basically the only thing you will see me use UV resin for in recent history and kind of moving forward is eyes. It's basically the only thing I use it for. Everything else I use thread control, thread dams, Zap-a-Gap. You know, for gluing eyes, I use Liquid Fusion. I think it's the best glue on the market for basically gluing anything. It's fantastic, perfect viscosity, soaks up, it's got a lot of working time, but when it's cured and it's rock solid. And so what I do, and this is where I'm getting to, but I like to use that Liquid Fusion. I'll glue my eyes to my fibers, let it set up, and then I come in with UV resin. Usually I like the thin or the thin flex, and I will put an epoxy dome over my sticker eyes, which will then create a 3-dimensional layer over the sticker eye. So I will dome it, and then that UV resin drapes over the edge into the material. And so instead of having a 3D dome eye that's very easy to break off, I now have a 2D eye glued to the head with UV over the edge into the fibers. And it makes the best head with then a 3D eye that you've created from a 2D eye. And so that's basically the only application I truly use UV resins for. And in that sense, these little tubes actually go a pretty long way. So that's all I have to say about that, I suppose, for the time being. Let me reflect and see if I have anything else to add to the subject matter here. Oh, I guess the last thing I'd add, because we talked about glue quite a lot in this video, is I'll just make this a little bit of a glue video. But anytime I'm tying with my threads, you know, I tend to use monofilament thread recently. It's kind of been my favorite, the 8/1000 of an inch. You come in with Zap-a-Gap and these little tubes here, and it plastic welds all that together. It's absolutely phenomenal, rock solid. If you wanted to do a coating over this and seal this head and kind of make a 3D structured glue head, I wouldn't use UV resin. Personally, I would come in with silicone. Something else I'll probably link in the video. But silicone is probably the coolest head glue you could ever have for tying Bob Popovics silicones. And and Pop Lips, and I've adapted that to the Chosen One. I've adapted that to my version of Mark Sadati's Slammer. So it's like, this stuff is wicked slick. If you were going to coat this whole head and try to trap a bunch of air and make a 3D structured rubber style head, that's what you want. So I'll just add those in there as well. And basically that's my thoughts on UV resin. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Hopefully you check out that light, follow the link, check out the SolarRes in my shop. If it's not in there now, it'll be there in like a week. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy UV resins, enjoy getting into it, enjoy applying them kind of where they have purpose and save your money where they don't. Hope that helps. See ya.